I can't look back, it's too late now. My days are hours and I don't know how, but I believe the great is still yet to come. I won't stop fighting, man, until I'm done.
All right, welcome to the, I guess this would be the new year, right? This is the 2024 edition of The Breakfast Ball. I am your host, Bob Cardia, and our dashing sidekick, the exceptionally valuable Richie Stoltz.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I call it legacy. So today our episode is you're full of Oh, but first, you know what? We're new to this. We're learning as we go. Our wonderful assistant Mary, who keeps us in line, suggested that we should probably try to have a more effective way to find out who's watching the podcast. So, if you reach out to us on our South Jersey Golf School Facebook page, the first 4 people that say I love the breakfast ball, we're going to send a sleeve of Titleist Pro V1s too. So if you're watching this and you like it, you know, by all means, send us a message on Messenger, Facebook, South Jersey Golf Schools, and you will get a sleeve of Pro V1s sent to you. So
If I do I get a sleeve?
you're right, because if we're followers, the 3 of us could do it. There'd be 3 of the 4 sleeves, right? Hopefully people are watching. I hope. We're working on getting better. But yes, that is a promotion that we're doing to start off 2024. Okay, well, today, you know, you're full of is our dynamic start here. I like to tell this story of one of our Rutgers players, a player that you know, and we're going to not use his name to protect the innocent. We'll just call him Patches O'Houlihan. And yeah, yes, if you don't know who that is, you can Google it. Okay, but Patches was a student at Rutgers. He was in approaching his 7th year of college, I guess, and from was a Tommy boy. Lots of people go to college for 7 years. They're called doctors. Yeah, Patches was not a doctor. Yeah, I cut him some slack because he went through COVID and whatnot. But yes, the thing was, he came to me one day to start his 7th year of college, and he comes to me and he says, "Coach, I'm turning over a new leaf. You know, I want to be good at this. I want to be great at golf. I want to be a good student." He said, my focus now is on getting good grades. Okay. All right. Sounds good on face value. So I looked at him and I said, "Okay, Patches, what are good grades?" And he looked at me and he's like, "Well, I don't know, A's, B's, maybe an occasional C." So I looked at him and I said, "You're full of you know, what you know, you're just telling me anywhere between a 70 and a 100 is a good grade." And he sat back and he thought about it, and he kind of was just dumbfounded by it. And yeah, the thing with goal setting, folks, is it needs to be relatively specific. We devote an entire hour of our teaching program to alignment and targets. It's most people, like when we teach private lessons, this is a true story. So we you know, Richie and I are friendly people. We walk up and down the tee line and we see Patches or, you know, Ty Webb or, you know, Al Chadwick, Roddy Dangerfield. Anyway, we say it right. Cervic? Hi, yeah.
Cervic, I think.
Yeah, Cervic, whatever.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Not sure.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, so we know what we're saying. Anyway. So we see him on the tee line, and we're like, "Hey, you know, Jim, Sally, George, Bale, Al, you know, Ty, how you hitting the ball today?" And they say, "Well, I hit the ball pretty good here at the driving range, but when I go to the golf course, I struggle." So the first question I typically ask is, "Okay, well, what's your target? What's your target?" And the answer we get probably 7, 8 times out of 10 is out there. Or straight. I love the answer straight. Straight. Yeah, I'm hitting the ball straight. Okay. Well, what is straight? out there. So, Richie knows this, Mary knows this, I know this. The actual hole, folks, is a little over 3 inches in diameter. Okay, when we're at the driving range, our driving range is roughly 28 acres. So, if you're taking a hole a little over 3 inches in diameter versus 28 acres, you get my point, right? It's you need to be specific with your targets and with your goals. So we talk about this stuff all the time. If you want to reach a goal, you want to be specific. So one of the things I read years ago was about throwing darts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go to throw a dart, so they took 100 people and they said, okay, the first 50, they said hit the dart board. So the 50 threw the darts and something like 42 or 43 hit the board. It was a good number. And then they brought the next 50 in and they said, we'd like you to make a bullseye. Okay, next 50 come in. Shot pattern tightened considerably. I think only 3 missed the board at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, when you focus on a specific target, okay, things tend to work out more in your favor. I'm not saying you're going to hit the bullseye every time, because no one does. I always talk about Ben Hogan's book, because we get all the time, Richie and I, well, I'm not hitting them all perfect. Let me just alleviate the ambiguity. Nobody does. Tiger doesn't hit them all perfect. Hogan's book, it said right in the beginning of it, it's like, I only feel like I hit 2 or 3 perfect shots around. And when you read that, you're like, well, Hogan was a, stuffy, kind of pompous. No. He's telling you what golf is a game of managing your mishits. So you're not going to hit everything perfect, but what you want to do is avoid the lost golf ball. So again, a great metaphor for life, right? You want to set a specific goal and go forward from there. Also, when I'm talking about my players and other guys about goal setting is judge a tree on the fruit it produces, not the fruit it says it's going to produce. Again, back to Patches, I'm going to get good grades. Well, okay, I get his grade report every semester, and Patches was not producing the grades he said he was going to produce. So specific goals. Now, also with that said, if we get back to our golf thread of the breakfast ball, I need you to know this. And if you take really nothing else out of what I'm saying today, is just know this. People that design golf courses are not your friends. Okay. Our home golf course that we play at Rutgers, the golf course, famous golf course designer, architect, I was reading about him somewhere, and he said that he on certain holes, specifically a few times throughout the round, the tee box that you tee off of doesn't point dead down the fairway, right? So I do this with our guys, and Richie's been a part of this. Specifically the 4th hole and the 12th hole at our home golf course. If you stood on the tee box and stood dead behind it, it don't point down the fairway. The one on the 4th hole points directly into the right trees, rather. And the one on 12 points directly into the housing project on the left. So when you go to a driving range, right, we do it all the time. We walk behind people. As my father would say, be a student of the game, right? You'll notice that everybody stands in the middle of the mat, right? And if they try to swing right and they try to swing left, if you want to actually get to your target, you need to turn your body right and turn your body left. And how many times when Richie and I are teaching, someone says, well, that doesn't feel comfortable. I don't like being askew to the mat. And there's been studies done on that too. For those of you who watch Seinfeld, right? The close talker, the guy who stands uncomfortably close to you, you always back up. Yeah, it's true, right? And or they did a study in school cafeterias on your lunch tray. Let's say I'm sitting right across from Richie and I take my lunch tray and I push it 2 inches closer to him. It's something like 8 times or 9 times out of 10, the person pushes that tray back. It's not because the tray is going to fall or it's too close to them. It's because people feel comfortable with space. So when you're practicing golf, or if you have something in life, you sometimes have to adjust yourself out of your comfort zone to get where you need to be, which is, again, I always talk about the metaphor for life, for being a student of the game, or being a student of the game, whether it be golf, life, anything, really, to be honest with you. So, that's goal setting anyway. Goal setting or having to be the best version of yourself. So my first question for the dashing Richie Stoltz, since this is New Year, right, 2024, folks. Okay. What do you want to accomplish this year, Richie?
Yeah, this year I want to win a golf tournament.
Okay.
or qualify for an event. Any of the professional events that I play in, I want to either win or qualify, get to the next stage.
So let's stop this for a second.
Yeah.
Richie's won a ton of college golf tournaments. He actually has the record of, would you win 4 or 5 in a row at one point?
I think 4 in a row.
4 in a row. Okay,
4
so
in a row.
he wants to win a professional golf tournament.
Yes.
I just want to specify because
Yeah.
you're wondering, well, gee, winning a golf tournament.
Not a scramble.
No, it's well, yeah. Okay, you know what? Because Coach Bob doesn't play as much as he used to, but we did win a scramble. With 2-minute scramble, Richie and I played this year. We finished 20 under.
Yeah.
It was one of those days in Caddyshack, like everything just went in the hole. So we should be all okay. Go. So
Yeah.
what
no,
do you want to win a professional golf
I
tournament?
want to win a professional golf tournament. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Hard to achieve. But
It's hard to
we're
achieve,
gonna get there.
but it's nothing's impossible, folks. I mean, especially when you have the talent. I mean, I guess some things probably be impossible, but like Schwarzenegger, I love listening to that guy because he's like, he came from Austria with a long name and a funny accent, and anytime people told him that he couldn't do something, he like, that's great because I'll be the first one to ever accomplish it
Yeah.
then, which is
Yeah.
So Richie can absolutely. As a matter of fact, I'm expecting you to be
Yeah.
honest with you, this coming year. All right, so I guess the question is, for you, where are you now and what is the reality?
Well, I don't believe I'm good enough just yet. I have to keep working on it. Some of the tournaments I play in these tournaments with these guys, and they for a living play golf. I don't do that yet. All they get to do is practice and play and travel and all that stuff. So I'm not there yet. That's my reality. I'll get there. Again, I'll get there. But my reality is I'm not there yet. I got to work towards that.
So I would tell you, again, the people who are in my demographic, there was a guy named Bruce Litsky back in the day. I think he's from Canada. He used to take the entire winter off on tour. Like he was skiing, and then he'd come back and win golf tournaments. I think highly of Richie, and I love his aspirations in life. I think you are talented enough to win a professional golf tournament. I think the difference between good and great is largely a thought process, and again, it's specifics. Like I know the one day, I mean, Richie is the course record holder at Westwood. He shot 61, which is a great number.
Yeah.
But if he can shoot 61 there, he can do it every single time. I think the one tournament you played in, and we have lengthy conversations about this kind of stuff. But Richie hit you hit 17 greens or something like that?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, and he shot like 72, and like, okay, you hit 17 greens and shot even par. Like, that doesn't exactly work. And for those of you who are watching this who are new students to us, greens and regulation, just so you know, as a term, most people are familiar with the term par. Greens and regulation is actually the most significant scoring stat on all the tours, whether it be NCAA, LPGA, the Champions Tour, PGA Tour. So every hole is designed more or less with with 2 putts in mind. So if it's a par 3 and you hit the green in 1, allowing yourself for 2 putts, that's hitting the green in regulation. And then par 4 hitting the green in 2, a par 5 hitting the green in 3. So that's what hitting a green in regulation is. So the question to you, Richie, because you know the answer to this. The average avid golfer, how many greens in a reg does that guy hit?
Usually about 1.
Yeah, 1 to 2, right?
Yeah.
Crazy, that's it. So the average avid golfer misses the green for regulation like 17 times. So the fact that Richie hit 17 greens and shot 72 is fascinating. So the conversation that Richie and I have a lot is Dave Pelz.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we like Pelz. Pelz is great. I read Short Game Bible. I have it highlighted in 3 different colored inks because there's just so many nuggets you could pick out of that book. But basically, his studies show that nobody on the planet, I believe the number is, nobody on the planet makes more than 20% of their putts outside of 10 feet with any regularity. And you'll see things like where David Duval actually was draining everything. Not David Duval. Spieth. Jordan Spieth. For his first couple of years, he was making everything.
Yeah.
But guess what?
And then he came back.
Yeah, it falls back to the bell
Came
curve.
back to...
The true stat basically is if you can put in what Pelz calls the golden 8, if you could put the ball within 8 feet of the hole, right? That is the key to scoring. The chances of making putts inside 8 feet go way up. So we designed it at Rutgers a special scorecard, and it had greens and regulations, fairways, and all that kind of stuff. Sandies, greenies, the whole 9 yards. But the one stat that I added to it on my own was, are you within a flag stick of the hole? So if you hit the green and reg and take the flag stick and lay it out, I think the flag sticks at our golf course are 7 feet?
I'm not positive.
Yeah, it's 7 or 8 feet, right? So basically, if you're within a flag stick, you're in birdie range. So when we did that, right, Richie was not within flag stick of the 17 holes. I think it was 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Right? Well, okay. So, yeah, coach, I hit 17 greens, but in reality, the wedges need to be tighter. So we've done a lot of work on that, and he's getting there.
Yeah.
The man has the ability. It's just a matter, and again, we talked about another episode where Rich's reality is I'm not good enough. He likes to take the underdog mentality.
Yes.
My thought process is Richie is good enough, right? There's just I think it's Les Brown. There's winners, there's losers, and then there's people that have not learned how to win. Yeah. So we're going to put you in that category. Yeah. You've won college. We're going for the next level.
Well, it's funny because once I came to you in college, the first tournament that I ever won with you was the first tournament I ever won. And then what happened after that?
I get 10%
won the next
rich and
one.
famous.
I won the next one,
Yeah.
and I won the next
Yeah.
one. So that's when I first learned how to win in college.
Yes.
It was the first time I ever won anything.
That makes me feel
And then now I feel, once I get that one win professionally,
Yeah.
well, then it's just gonna keep
happen.
following.
I agree.
I tapped the table.
You did tap the table. I know, I've been working. You notice I have my hands folded like it's the first episode. I was like, da da da, and that thing picks up everything. So I'm working. We're working for a living here, folks. We're trying to get better at what we do. All right, so this is something that Coach Bob is exceptionally guilty of. And Mary back there knows this. Richard, everybody who knows me knows this. Okay, it gets back to an old, I think it's a Chinese proverb.
You're bad at
But-
technology?
What's that?
You're bad at technology?
Oh, I'm terrible at technology, by the way. Okay, I know, right? I'm trying to get Richie and Mary to teach me technology. I guess
And we're trying.
I know. You know what the funny thing
Try
is
hard.
though? Just to back up a step or two, it's like when I was a kid, my dad was the worst at technology, and I was the tech expert in the family, and then once you get out of college and you get scared, right? Mary said it's scary. Once you get out of college, man, you start going by, and if you're not immersed in technology every day, what do I really do, folks? I coach golf. I do life coaching, motivation. Once you get away from doing technology every day, it gets by you fast. Just saying. But I'm working on it. Don't worry. I'm getting there. So I had a point mixed somewhere. Oh, yes. The Chinese proverb. The dog that chases 2 rabbits typically catches neither. And I think a lot of what I do, and my dad and I had this conversation a lot of times, because my dad would always be like, he was great at setting goals, but he's like, we owned the driving range at that point, and he sat across from me at the table, and he said, he put out a Titleist, and he put on, he said, I want all of our range balls to look something like this, to have the finest range quality range balls of anybody. And I blew a gasket slightly, to be honest with it. I'm like, Dad, you also gave me this activities calendar, 54 other things to do. I think what we need to focus on is the one thing and get the one thing done. And once we get that thing, move on to something else. So, Richie, how many goals are you chasing at once?
One.
Ah,
One.
beautiful answer.
The one thing.
The one thing, yeah.
If you set too many goals, like you said, the dog that chases 2 rabbits doesn't catch either.
Yep.
If you set too many goals, well, you're going to have trouble catching any of them.
Yep.
So, one goal at a time.
So
Hit that goal, then move on.
I forget what book I was reading, because I read, again, Coach Bob, flaw, okay, is I'm never reading 2 books at once. Okay, which, so I forget which one. But anyway, the book alluded to a young motivational speaker guy, a performance, what do you call it, basically he wanted to meet with CEOs of large companies to tell them how to increase their production. And he went in and he somehow It would have been Ford or whatever. I thought it says Ford. And he went in there, and he went through his entire presentation, and the chairman and CEO of Ford's like, yeah, that's great. I've heard it all before. And then the guy's like, what? I'll give you something that I guarantee will increase your production. And he's like, oh, okay. So this gets back to the book that I'm having my people read called The One Thing. It was on the New York Times bestseller list, and Zach, who is our golfer who made the finals of the USAM, he actually handed me a copy of it. So shout out to Zach on that one. More or less, what the book tells you to do is make a list of things. Let's say 3 things to do, and that's we do actually. I'm sitting behind me here. Each week, my staff gets together. Wow, well, this time's flying, huh? Mary's telling me about time. So okay, here we go. So the list of 3 things. Okay, what you do is take the 3 things, and as I said last night in our winter instruction, was if it's pay the bills, update the resume, or clean my office. You take the most important thing first, pay the bills, then resume, then office. And once you get done those 3 things, you move on to another list of 3. If you just focus on those 3 things weekly and get them done and then start a new list, you will increase your productivity without a doubt. So that's what we're doing that right now. So we're doing that with our groups, right?
Yes. Yeah. The one thing after every week, they have to write down the one thing that they have to work on, and they go out and work on it. We talk about it next week.
Yes. And when you're doing your one thing in golf instruction, Hale Irwin, I read his book, awesome point. He said, people tend to practice what they're good at, right? Not what they need to work on.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's
right. So in Richie's case, like sticking wedges closer, Richie bombs a driver. I mean, it's close.
I don't practice with it.
Yeah, right, because he's pushing 115 or 20 miles an hour, almost tour speed on his driver. He doesn't need to work on that. Okay, wedges is what he needs to work on. Mm-hmm. So that's, again, hey, we're not going to stop fighting until we're done, and that's the whole mentality of the breakfast ball, and self-improvement in general. So, Happy New Year, folks! It's 2024. If you have a resolution, make sure it's the one thing. I'm Bob Cardier.
Richie Stoltz, the dashing.
The dashing Richie Stoltz. Yes, one of these days we're going to jump out of a cake. But anyway, on that disturbing note, we'll see you next time.
Glass of bourbon, ha. My bourbon, ha. My bourbon, ha. Alcohol. Because no great story ever started with, I'll have a salad.